Hello, I'm Chuck Phillip with South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. I've been wanting to do this video for about 3 years now, and I'm finally going to go ahead and put it up there. And part of the reason why I didn't do it is because if I'd put this up, way back years ago, well then I think a lot of people would have viewed this video as, well, this is just a video you're trying to put up to drive more business to you. That's really why you're doing this. And I hope it does draw some business to me, no doubt. But I think that after you watch this, you'll kind of sort of get a feeling of where I'm going with this as well. And because a lot of people that are subscribers on my channel are my past clients, and there's also quite a few of them that are from out of state. And so, I'm certainly not going to fly to wherever they are to perform their inspections. And so I'm hoping that the people, if you don't live in Alabama, you're really going to want to kind of sort of pay attention to some of these things I'm going to tell you, because some of these states don't require any sort of licensing or educational requirements to be a home inspector. And so that's something you need to know. Alabama does require you to be licensed, and there's a certain standards that home inspectors have to meet here, which is good. But there's also some states that have none of those requirements. And so just know that for any of y'all that's living outside the state of Alabama. But I really wanted to point some things out about, how to go about finding a competent home inspector. And one of the things you should do when you call around is, number one, don't try to find the cheapest inspector. And I can understand where everybody wants to save money, but you have to ask yourself the reasons why is this inspector cheaper than this one. And this is most likely the reason. They're actually doing several a day. And if they're doing several a day, you have to ask yourself, well, how thorough of a job are they going to do at my inspection if he has to bid another one a few hours later? And how thorough is he going to be in the report? How much time is he going to take talking to me about the findings of the report? And so for this reason, this is why I only do one a day. Now, I know I'm going to start a fire out there with some of these other inspectors, but that's just me. If I was hiring a home inspector, I would want someone that would spend the time, or as much time as possible, inspecting my house and not be under some sort of time restraint to make his next inspection or her inspection, whoever. There's a lot of women inspectors out there, and so salute to y'all too. Y'all actually do pretty good jobs. I've seen some of your reports. So, but whoever it is that you hire, you want to hire someone that's definitely on your side, that's definitely your champion, someone that's in your corner, that's going to look out for your interest. And that's precisely what I do anytime I perform an inspection. I always perform the inspection as if I was the one buying the house. And so another thing as well, if you was to go and Google, how long does a home inspection take, it actually has an answer for that. It's about 2 to 2.5 hours. And some of my clients ask me, so well, how long is it going to take to do my inspection? And the truth is, I don't know, because it's going to take care of how long it takes. And to give you an example of that, I inspected a house a couple of years ago. It was only 1,200 square feet, but it took me 7.5 hours to inspect it. And I'm sure there's maybe some home inspectors laughing at that, but I mean, it was 3 stories. It had 2 air conditioning systems. It had 3 attic entrances. It had a crawl space. It had I think 3 balconies. I don't know if I said that before. It had a deck. I mean, it took forever to go through all that. So you really can't base even the square footage of how long it's going to take to do an inspection. I have done one house that took 10 hours. And so that's the reason why I don't inspect more than one a day, because I have no idea how long it's going to take to do your inspection. But the good thing is I'm willing to take the time to do it. And that's just what you got to do in order to do you any kind of service. And so another thing as well, you may have been referred, an inspector, maybe a friend has had one performed before, and they may have done a really good job, but every house is different. And so that inspector may come to your house and may not find some of the issues that wasn't present in the house they inspected for your friend. But know this as well, that an inspector is not going to, in most circumstances, not going to find every potential issue, because there's just not enough time to do it. I mean, it is a short inspection, because there's only so long that the occupants can be inconvenienced by it. And so that's why I always start the inspections in occupied houses on the inside first, and then do the outside last, because usually the homeowner don't care if I'm outside. And so there's time restraints to that. And then another thing too, if I would not at least do extra due diligence if you are recommended a home inspector by someone who has a financial interest in the house selling. And that'd be like, well, we really don't recommend any home inspectors because, it's kind of a conflict of interest, but here's some cards that they left with us. And so just go ahead and pick one of them. Here's a little, I'm kind of like being a little silly here with this. But you get my drift? That's why you need to do due diligence when you try to find a home inspector. And that's really with any person you hire to perform a task. And like I say, I know I'm probably going to start a fire with some of the stuff I've said, but that's just what it is. I mean, there's a saying, truth hurts. And so let it be. Wherever it falls, if you're a person in the industry out there with integrity, well, that's good, because they are. There actually are very good inspectors out there that do have integrity. They do inspect the house like they should. And there may be inspectors out there that can actually do more than one a day and still do a good job. For me, I won't do it. That's why I'm not the cheapest inspector. And so just know that inspectors are not a commodity. One thing, I have about $20,000 in inspection equipment, and it also costs money to be an inspector too. And it's time consuming as well. So, when you hear that price, it's, oh my gosh, and you've Googled how long it takes to do an inspection, 2.5, 3 hours. Well, for me, and most always, it's 7 to 8 hours, because when you include the report with it, it's a lot of work. It really is, more work than you'd ever imagine. And you're also paying for the skill sets of that inspector too. I've come from a pretty good background in construction. I used to sell building materials to the trade, and I also worked as a plumber, and I also worked out in Texas with my stepdad, who owned a electrical and air conditioning business. And I didn't realize how much information I was missing until I went to the home inspection school. And I'm so thankful that I did. And so that's another thing for you people that are out of state that watch this video. I would be inquiring about what kind of training have they had, to actually perform these inspections, because a house is it's really more, it's kind of scientific in a way, because it's like a living structure like yourself. And if any of these components fail, that it can cause another component to fail, and so on. And so, have they passed the National Home Exam? These are some things. Are they a member of ASHI or NAHI, which are two big organizations that are part of the home inspection industry? And so, but none of these things in itself can mean much, but you have to take all those combined together and kind of evaluate, the skill sets that they have, and most importantly, if they're going to take the time. Like, if you call them up and they're in a hurry to get you off the phone, you need to move on. Just move on. You want someone that's going to take time to talk to you before the inspection as well. It's going to, because there's going to be concerns you're going to have before the inspector even shows up to do the inspection. And another thing too, ask that inspector too that you call, says, is it okay if I can attend the inspection? And they said, well, we really prefer you not, but you're welcome to come toward the end of it. Well, I want you there at the beginning of it, and for several reasons. One, the more eyes, the better. Two, a home inspection is not a cosmetic inspection where we're looking for uneven baseboards and mismatched paint and scratched walls and stuff like that. There's just not enough time to do it. I mean, you can spend an entire day just going over surfaces. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I like the client to be there, so they can look for these cosmetic issues while I'm focused on the mechanical systems of the home. And that's where you want your inspector focused. And so I always encourage my client to attend the inspection if possible. I know that some can't, but if you can make that inspection, if you can't, maybe your brother or sister or her husband or spouse, whatever, can be there with me while I do this, because it's a pretty good learning experience as well. It's kind of like, in a way, free education. Well, I guess it's not free if you're paying me to do the inspection, but I kind of like to point out some of the systems of the house so you'll know how they work when you get into it. And that's the reason why I have this YouTube channel, is I've created, in most cases, short videos about many of the issues we face with our houses down here in the Deep South. We live in a pretty unique location down here. It's pretty brutal. So anyway, I'm not going to drag this out any further than it has to be. I think you kind of sort of get the gist of what to do and what to look out for. When you're going around shopping for a home inspector. I hope you'll take the time to evaluate me as well if you need one. And if nothing else, please subscribe to this channel and the Facebook page as well. And hopefully some of those other videos out there will help you too. Thanks again.